Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. It was near gridlock in government offices and surrounding streets by mid-afternoon as hundreds of thousands of federal employees were told the money ran out and work was over for the day. A confused and chaotic Congress missed today's deadline for passing an emergency catch-all spending bill. Bob Shackney has more on the day the machine stopped.
This morning, when an estimated 500,000 federal employees in 7 major government departments went to work, they were told almost immediately to pack up and go home. Their employer technically had no money to pay them.
I think it stinks. It's a waste of money and energy and everything else.
I'm concerned about being paid, but at least I get a day off.
The Senate had met all night long, but by morning still hadn't finished the spending bill legally required to keep most of the government operating.
This is legislation by exhaustion.
Don't ask my judgment on any subject after 28 hours of this. I'm not to be relied on.
Who was responsible for the government's confusion? That depended on who was talking.
You can lay this right on the majority party in the House of Representatives.
If the government shuts down, it will be obviously, if it's the fault of any party, it's the fault of the Republican Party.
The delay has taken place in the Republican-controlled Senate, but a lot of people on Capitol Hill put the blame on the Senate procedures, which allow members to try and add on their own pet projects.
This is the last train leaving the station, and anybody that's got a package that hadn't gone anywhere else has tried to put it on this train.
In mid-afternoon, after 6 days of sometimes excruciating debate, the Senate finally passed the $470 billion-plus money bill. But a conference committee meeting tonight still has to resolve differences between House and Senate versions. And depending on how that comes out, the president will decide whether to sign or veto the measure. As of this hour, the workers sent home earlier today still don't know when they'll be told to report back to work. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Keeping government going at the grassroots level is the object of a major effort today, an attempt to make this the day when 1 million Americans nationwide are signed up to register to vote. About half the states will be closing the voter rolls within a week. From city to city, from mild coercion to gentle persuasion, the effort was made to get citizens into the tent and legally eligible to be in the voting booth next month. There's no word yet on how close or far today's drive for 1 million new voters came to the goal, but today's sign-ups aside, a check by CBS News finds the Republicans and Democrats claiming they have signed up between 3 and 4 million new voters each. The FBI agent and father of 8, accused of selling his country's secrets for the romance of a Russian woman and money, was in a California courtroom today. Terry Drinkwater reports on the still unfolding story of love and betrayal.
Former FBI agent Richard Miller's wife and oldest son were in court today as Miller made a brief appearance. The public defender representing Miller indicated he'll plead innocent to the espionage charges and later told reporters the family stands behind Miller.
It would be presumptuous for anyone at this point to assume Mr. Miller is somehow guilty. If the DeLorean case has taught us anything, it has taught us a healthy respect for our legal principles and procedures.
The FBI charges that Miller's difficulties supporting his wife and 8 children and his money-losing investment in an avocado grove drove him to collaborate with the Soviets. Indeed, the emerging facts suggest his whole life seemed to be falling apart. The Mormon Church had excommunicated him 3 months ago for unspecified transgressions. It was about that time Miller started seeing Svetlana Ogorodnikova, the self-styled KGB major accused of recruiting him as a spy. Today, neighbors and other Soviet emigre sources pictured Svetlana as estranged from her husband, Nikolai, also implicated in the spy plot, who was a butcher at this packing plant. Svetlana often frequented this Russian cabaret in Hollywood.
She was obviously nervous. She was obviously intoxicated on several occasions. She told everyone that her husband was dull, and she came to have fun. She wanted to dance.
Russian Americans here say Svetlana and Nikolai have long been an embarrassment to them. Nikolai photographing, not very surreptitiously, local anti-Soviet demonstrations.
It's very bad for our community because it could affect our relationship between us and our community and American society.
Svetlana's 13-year-old son Matthew has been alone in the family's apartment. Tonight, an old friend brought food. She described him as bewildered and confused, not understanding that his mother, if convicted, could spend life in prison. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, Hollywood.
U.S. intelligence now claims it knows the group responsible for the bombing 2 weeks ago today of the U.S. Embassy Annex in Beirut. Sources tell Pentagon correspondent David Martin that the attack was carried out by a radical Shiite Muslim group called Hezbollah, or Party of God. That group is based in West Beirut and has ties to Iran. It also has been linked to last year's bombing of the U.S. Marine headquarters in Beirut. A group calling itself Islamic Jihad had claimed responsibility for both bombings, but the U.S. sources say there is no actual terrorist organization by that name.
Impossible! Brushing with denture cream cleans better than soaking with my Efferdent.
Well, Efferdent tablets are good, but denture cream is much better.
Prove it.
Put half this stained denture material in your soak. Now brush half with denture cream denture toothpaste.
The denture cream side is much cleaner.
Denture cream gets stained denture film nearly twice as clean.
I'm sold. Denture cream gets dentures nearly twice as clean.
And for mouthwash fresh taste, try denture gel.
For the price of a Commodore 64, here's what you get from Apple, from IBM. For what it costs to add a Commodore disk drive, Apple, IBM. Add a Commodore printer, Apple, IBM, the PC Junior. Add a Commodore modem, and now you can get an Apple IIe or an IBM PC Junior with 3 games. Is it any wonder Commodore sells more computers than Apple and IBM combined?
The man who shot and wounded President Reagan and 3 other people in 1981 was back in court today. John Hinckley was brought before a judge amid tight security, seeking more freedom at the Washington Mental Hospital where he is confined. Judge Barrington Parker said he didn't want to second-guess Hinckley's doctors. The judge refused to grant Hinckley's request for uncensored access to the phone or to reporters, and he refused to give Hinckley an hour a day to walk the hospital grounds. The California Medical Association today became the first state organization of its kind to formally announce its opposition to boxing at all levels, amateur and professional. The California group cited what it says is boxing's extraordinary potential for brain damage. This anti-boxing movement is picking up momentum, and part of the reason, Lem Tucker reports, is the sad case of a suffering legend.
September 20th, Muhammad Ali is talking with reporters at a New York hospital. His doctors have already revealed that he is being treated for Parkinson's syndrome.
So I had to come out so my fans can see that that's not wrong. I'm still the greatest of all time.
That he may be, but not only was something wrong then, but today the American Medical News reported that Ali had known for a year that he had Parkinson's syndrome. He had forbidden his doctors to reveal it. Ali's condition has led many people to change their minds about boxing, among them the president of the American Academy of Neurology, who said today he no longer thinks boxing can be policed, it should be banned.
The definition of boxing, no matter how you take it, is to render the other fellow unable to come out and fight further. The only way you can do that is to damage the nervous system. And if you do it enough, there are going to be permanent injuries.
One result is what Ali has, pugilistic Parkinsonism, the result of sharp, jarring blows to the head. That October 1983 diagnosis was made by Dr. Dennis Cope of UCLA.
I do think it's very important that any individual thinking about boxing be apprised of the risks so that they understand fully what they're entering into and what may occur as a result of doing it.
And Ali seems to agree, because he is now saying he wants everyone to know what happened to him. Lem Tucker, CBS News, Washington.
A Harvard scientist thinks he's solved an age-old mystery: why coffee, tea, and cocoa plants contain caffeine. It's to fight off insects, and Dr. James Nathanson said today in Science magazine that his discovery could eventually result in a new insecticide that's relatively harmless to humans and animals. He says his tests show that concentrated doses of caffeine compounds kill various insect larvae within hours, and he says that smaller doses do to the larvae what they do to humans: make them jittery. Narcotics and other organized crime syndicates murder more people every year than police can prove. One of the problems is finding the bodies. With that as background, Chris Kelly reports on an underwater investigation in New York City's murky East River.
Since the search began, police have recovered 8 cars from the river. In one auto, the skeletal remains of an organized crime figure missing for 5 years. And in the trunk of another, the body of a New York State police detective.
It's a perfect area to do away with somebody. Put a cinder block on the gas pedal, put it in gear, and right into the water.
Body and all.
Body and all in the trunk.
Police say most of the cars were dumped here several years ago, and so this burial ground may yield clues to unsolved crimes of the past.
Authorities theorize these cars, some Cadillacs, a Lincoln, and a Mercedes, were disposed of in insurance fraud schemes, perhaps because they were lemons.
So the best thing is get rid of the car. You won't see this one again, and the next thing you know, the insurance companies are paying off on an insurance fraud. Or you have a contact and you pay so much money to dispose of the car for you, then you report it stolen several days later.
Drop the line on the inboard.
Police say they don't know if there are any more bodies in the watery grave of Hellgate. The treacherous currents could have swept away what little evidence remains. Chris Kelly, CBS News, New York.
Officials from the United States and Vietnam reached tentative agreement today on allowing some 10,000 Vietnamese political prisoners and a like number of Amerasian children to immigrate to this country. The children were fathered by American servicemen during the Vietnam War. The two sides said they still must work out details for the actual movement of those involved. In Nicosia, Cyprus today, there was another terrorist bombing of an embassy. This one, the Israeli embassy. A time bomb in a rental car parked outside the building exploded shortly before noon, causing slight damage to the embassy and shattering windows in the neighborhood. No one was injured. Palestinian rebel leader Abu Musa claimed responsibility. In the French city of Lyon today, 7 bombs exploded in the center of town, badly damaging the law courts building and an Air France office. 2 people were injured slightly. A Corsican separatist group claimed responsibility.
Aspirin was introduced in 1899, Tylenol in 1955. Today, there's Advil, a major development in non-prescription pain relief. Advil contains a non-prescription strength of ibuprofen, the medicine found in the prescription brand Motrin. Just 1 Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin, yet gentler to the stomach than aspirin. If you're aspirin allergic, before taking Advil, ask your doctor. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Car repairs, guaranteed for life. Only participating Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers guarantee thousands of repairs for as long as you own your car. You pay for a covered repair once, never again. Because the dealer who did the work will fix it free. Free parts, free labor for life.
No charge.
Terrific. The lifetime service guarantee, only from Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers. We fix cars for keeps.
The president of Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois, called the rampage a frightening display of mob violence. About 100 students had gathered on campus to protest town ordinances aimed at curbing boisterous parties. But the protest grew and spread downtown, where about 500 people, the vast majority students, broke windows in City Hall and other buildings and smashed phone booths. Police used tear gas to disperse the rioters early this morning. The cost of going to college is soaring. At the same time, many colleges have deep financial troubles. Jane Bryant Quinn reports tonight on the campaigns of some colleges to continue growing and the desperate drives of others just to remain open.
We have a fine arts scholarship.
For many colleges, it's a fight for survival. The baby boom era is over. For the next decade, there will be fewer high school graduates every year. At college fairs around the country, competition for students is growing fierce.
We have volleyball, basketball, softball. We encourage you to go ahead and make the application.
I don't even think it really depends on your grades as much anymore. It's just they need your money, so they want you in the college.
Nearly 30 colleges have closed since 1980, and many more are in trouble. At Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey, enrollments are down 23%, and the school is $1 million in debt. To help pay their bills, many schools are scouting new sources of money. Arkansas College invested in a supermarket. Hunter College in New York offers daycare services to encourage mothers to enroll.
See you later.
And Wagner College, also in New York, recruits full-paying students from Asia to fill up its classes.
Without these international students, our enrollments would be down even more than they have been.
To keep up their academic reputation, the colleges are competing especially hard for the brightest youngsters. One way to get top students is to buy them, to offer them money to come to your school. This trend started small just a few years ago. Now 75% of all colleges and universities offer special scholarships to smart students, even if they don't need the money. At Adelphi University, the top 20 students are given full scholarships, regardless of their family incomes. Carolyn Shapiro was accepted at 5 colleges. She likes Adelphi, but says that if she had not been offered a full scholarship,
I probably would have gone elsewhere.
For students who cannot get full scholarships, college is harder to pay for than ever. College costs, adjusted for inflation, have jumped 19% since 1980, while the value of all available student aid is down nearly 15%. There are fewer low-income minority students in college today because they need more financial aid than the schools can afford to give.
The average low-income student I see is on the point of a national crisis, because they just are not able to provide the resources to meet that tuition. And what's happening, many of them just aren't even applying.
So although schools need students, they are increasingly competing for a particular kind of student. The gate to college is wide open today to middle-income freshmen who can afford to borrow and high-income freshmen who can afford to pay. Jane Bryant Quinn, CBS News, Garden City, New York.
When you're working on your American dream, you want it to last forever.
Andersen Windows have helped build American dreams for over 75 years with innovation, energy efficiency, and pride. At Andersen, there are no seconds.
We take the time to build the best, that's what we've always been. Come home to quality, come home to Andersen.
Did you know coffee can give you bad breath? Truth is, most anything you eat or drink can turn on you and give you bad breath more often than you think. That's why I carry Chlorets, the breath deodorant. Chlorets has Actazole with chlorophyll, which helps your mouth's freshening power clean up bad breath fast. It's breath protection that tastes great. Of course, Chlorets costs more, but it's worth it. Chlorets, the breath deodorant, because you have bad breath more often than you think.
George Bush is complaining about an IRS decision that made him pay $198,000 in back taxes and interest. Walter Mondale today said Bush still paid a lot less proportionately than many, if not most, Americans. The overall 13% of adjusted income that Bush paid in federal taxes last year, Mondale said, is less than the maid pays who cleans up the offices of the vice president. Democrats frequently complain that it's a problem to get any criticism of President Reagan to stick, but 150 Republican incumbents and 50 more would-be incumbents lined up on the south lawn of the White House today for a chance to stick to Mr. Reagan's coattails. It was but one example of a presidency that projects a personality and an image that, even in the view of harsh critics, is almost picture-perfect in its skillful use of television. But in using the medium, what is the Reagan message? Does it distort the big picture of reality? Leslie Stahl has been looking into this.
How does Ronald Reagan use television? Brilliantly. He's been criticized as the rich man's president, but the TV pictures say it isn't so. At 73, Mr. Reagan could have an age problem, but the TV pictures say it isn't so. Americans want to feel proud of their country again and of their president, and the TV pictures say you can.
The orchestration of television coverage absorbs the White House. Their goal, to emphasize the president's greatest asset, which his aides say is his personality.
They provide pictures of him looking like a leader, confident with his Marlboro Man walk, a good family man. They also aim to erase the negatives. Mr. Reagan tries to counter the memory of an unpopular issue with a carefully chosen backdrop that actually contradicts the president's policy. Look at the handicapped Olympics. Or the opening ceremony of an old age home. No hint that he tried to cut the budgets for the disabled and for federally subsidized housing for the elderly.
How can you take a vacation?
Another technique for distancing the president from bad news, have him disappear, as he did the day he pulled the Marines out of Lebanon. He flew off to his California ranch, leaving others to hand out the announcement. There are a few visual reminders linking the president to the tragic bombing of the Marine headquarters in Beirut. But 2 days later, the invasion of Grenada succeeded, and the White House offered television a variety of scenes associating the president with the joy and the triumph. David Gergen recently retired as the president's media advisor.
It is a mistake to try to have the president inserted into every issue, good or bad, but particularly the bad ones. It's just not a good way to run the presidency.
In running the presidency, the White House often prevents reporters from questioning Mr. Reagan. Aides admit that helicopter engines are revved up so the questions can't be heard. At other times, it's aides who interrupt. This tight control has baffled those who think Mr. Reagan is at his very best when he's spontaneous, say, in dealing with hecklers.
I'll raise his taxes. Aaron.
Or in tossing off one-liners.
I never get good reviews from Taz.
He can be masterful at deflecting a hostile question.
Did you mean to give a signal to other Republicans that if they don't conform, that off will go their heads?
How can you say that about a sweet fellow like me?
Time and again, the president, with uncanny skill, shifts the focus from the details of an unpopular issue to a popular subject, himself. Take education. He responds to a briefing about an inner-city school's dilapidated conditions with a personal story.
In our high school gymnasium, in my day, there were a few places on the floor that you couldn't try for a basket because the beams holding the ceiling up interfered.
Defining a mistake, Mr. President?
There is, of course, a sound reason the White House has kept the president under wraps. It's his gaffes. But since he was criticized for being isolated and wrapped in a cocoon, Mr. Reagan has been taking more questions lately, resulting in more mistakes. His explanation of security lapses at the Beirut Embassy Annex.
Anyone that's ever had their kitchen done over knows that it never gets done as soon as you wish it would.
There's a lot of evidence that the American people don't care if Mr. Reagan makes mistakes. They like him anyway.
He is one of the best people I've ever seen at turning a mistake into a positive, turning on a dime when he makes a mistake. He knows how to cut his losses so fast and so quickly and so effectively that they become positives. People sort of say, ah.
President Reagan is accused of running a campaign in which he highlights the images and hides from the issues. But there's no evidence that the charge will hurt him, because when the people see the president on television, he makes them feel good about America, about themselves, and about him. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
Hello. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or I'll give you your money back. Here's why. The first screen shaves incredibly close. The second screen even closer. And this Remington microscreen with this convenient charger stand has the most powerful motor of any rechargeable shaver made today. Because it turns at 9,000 revolutions per minute, you get a quicker, so-close shave. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. And the Lady Remington rechargeable, the perfect gift. Shaves without a cord.
Sears National Hardware Sale. Save $7 on Easy Living matte flat paint. Now $8.97 a gallon. They are lowest price of the year for a half-horsepower garage door opener. And save on these Sears Best lavatory and kitchen faucets. Now half price, just $29.99. You'll find more tough hardware at hard-to-beat prices right now at the National Hardware Sale.
There's more for your life at Sears.
Whirlpool would like to shed some light on the smart way to keep food. Refrigerators that offer premium features at a reasonable price. Crispers and meat keepers with their own controls. Porcelain enameled interiors and no fingerprint doors. Even an electronic monitoring system. All premium features at a reasonable price. And all with the traditional Whirlpool promise to give you your money's worth and make your world a little easier.
In the northern reaches of the beautiful Canadian province of Quebec, where temperatures are dropping rapidly, government officials and local natives are in a race with nature to save one of nature's creatures, the caribou. For thousands of these animals, however, the human effort is too late. Steve Young reports.
Environmentalists call it a catastrophe. Canadian Eskimos whose survival is closely tied to the caribou consider it a disaster. And one of the first biologists to view the drowned bodies of at least 10,000 of the animals says no word is strong enough.
Never in the history of my imagination would I ever thought I was going to see anything like this.
The caribou drowned crossing 2 rivers in northern Quebec. They were swept over waterfalls while making their annual migration. As many as 20,000 may have died. The Eskimos blame the giant James Bay hydroelectric project, which they say let too much water spill over a dam. The utility says twice the normal rainfall was to blame. To prevent pollution downstream, the caribou carcasses will be tied in bundles, helicoptered to higher ground, and buried or burned. The animals were part of the George River herd, the largest in North America, and the tragedy could still grow worse.
There's about another 150,000 to 200,000 caribou that are continuing their migration that will have to cross in that area.
One plan is to use aircraft to create a wall of sound to scare the caribou away from the waterfalls. There is talk of setting huge fires on the riverbanks to make them veer away. But the region is remote. The rescue plans will take time, and the caribou are still moving. Steve Young, CBS News, Montreal.
And that's the CBS Evening News for this Thursday. Dan Rather reporting. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
If I work this hard getting my outside fit, it makes sense to keep my inside fit too. So I help eat myself fit on the inside with Kellogg's Bran Flakes. They're loaded with fiber. That helps keep my inside running smooth. And Kellogg's Bran Flakes really taste good. No wonder they're America's favorite bran flake. So you take care of the outside, and Kellogg's Bran Flakes will help take care of the inside. Not a bad deal, huh?
We weren't planning to go to Midas on our honeymoon, but we didn't have much choice. The brakes on my old Camaro were making a terrible noise, so we pulled into Midas and showed them my guarantee.
And now you're Pat Fitzsimmons?
I am. Used to be. Midas fixed the brakes right away, and because of the guarantee, the brake shoes were free. I guess something always goes wrong on your wedding day. It's a good thing we could go to Midas.
Trust the Midas touch.
It's Tom Clark delivering at 9:28. It's a 7:27 over the Golden Gate. It's Bill Flynn coming through when time can't wait. It's UPS next day air, and that means getting it there. Getting it there for American industry with early morning delivery, speed, economy. It's Jim Wilson getting jets on their way. It's the UPS system working night and day. It's UPS next day air, and that means getting it there.
Getting it there.
I'm Bill Curtis. Tomorrow we'll look at children's television programming. And in our 8:30 half hour, Sally Field. Wake up to what's happening on the CBS Morning News.
This is CBS.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 6, legalization of bingo could mean big profits for some and help to others, while buckling up may soon become a way of life for Nashvillians. We'll have details coming up next.
But that's $200 more than you said it was going to cost.
Reckon it took more than I figured.
At Mr. Transmission, we tell you exactly what your repairs will cost before we service your transmission. There's no surprises, only trained specialists.